My name is Archie Holmes. I currently serve as the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the University of Texas System. I got my undergraduate degree in electrical engineering at the University of Texas at Austin, and after receiving my PhD at UCSB, I've been a faculty member both at the University of Texas at Austin and the University of Virginia. The selection of graduate school and why I ultimately ended up being at UCSB was really because of two main aspects. So number one, they were the best in the world in terms of doing compound semiconductor research. And that is something that I certainly wanted to be involved in. But even more important than that, I wanted to be in a collaborative environment. I wasn't interested in just having my own project and sitting there and just doing it on my own. I wanted to be involved in a community of people working on similar projects, engaging in those ideas. And UCSB really exceeded my expectations on that. I got that vibe immediately when I came to visit UCSB, and that was really a big part. And that was the nature of the faculty there, as well as the graduate students, breaking down those traditional silos that can happen in an academic environment and really building a community that I feel I benefited from greatly. My PhD advisor was Steve Denbars, and I was co-advised by John Bowers. So I worked on a project where I was looking at semiconductor growth for lasers and then using a wafer bonding technique that was being pioneered in John Bowers' lab to try to improve the performance of those lasers. When I was a student at UCSB, I really had a love for the research activities that I got to engage in as a graduate student. And it really made me want to do that as part of my academic career. And so I was very fortunate to be hired on at my alma mater as a faculty member, and then be able to continue on both as a faculty member and as an administrator. I joined the provost office at the University of Virginia. And I think what prompted me to do that was just my experience overall. I had felt throughout my time, both as an undergraduate, a graduate student, and as a faculty member, that I was very, very well supported in a wide variety of different areas. And I really benefited. I was transformed by higher education. But what I recognized over time is that not all students were having that same experience. And so I was continually looking for how can I impact the most students? How can I help make sure that the positive aspects that I had are shared broadly across all students? And for me, that meant going into academic administration, where I get to work across the university. Here in this role at the University of Texas System, I work with 8 very different academic institutions, and we impact 240,000 or so students. And so just being in a position where we can help try to figure out how do we make education affordable, accessible, and transformation for all of those students is just a passion I gained through my experience in higher ed, and that's what has led me to go into administration. Engineering is going to be at its strongest when we have a diverse set of folks around the table who bring their both professional and personal experiences to bear in terms of the problems that we solve. To me, the research on this is very, very, very clear. That leads to better solutions. And so in my role, my goal is to try to help advocate for that position all the time, just making sure that people really understand the power that diversity has. I think my training as an engineer benefits me in a number of ways. At the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to have a problem that we are trying to solve. I think what I've had to learn over the period of my time is that as you moved in the administration, the problems weren't technical anymore. They were interpersonal, and there were lots of other things. And so I've had to build skills. But my engineering education experience taught me how to teach myself those things that I needed to learn. As I reflect back on my career, I think I was really benefited by a number of things that happened in the ECE department at UCSB, right? So one is the collaboration across the faculties and across the research groups that just really made me a stronger researcher because I got to see problems from different angles. I think another thing that is part of the culture at UCSB that you cannot understate is the importance of talking about your research or talking about technical terms. When you go out into the world, whether it's a faculty member like me or an industry, you got to sell your technical ideas. Sometimes it's to a technical audience, but sometimes it's not to a technical audience. And so getting practice and talking about your research is really important. And that was really embedded into my educational experience at UCSB, and it's paid huge dividends. So for those of you who are at UCSB right now, I really hope that you take advantage of all the opportunities that are there. Whether they are working in a research lab with the wonderful faculty in both the ECE department and elsewhere, to taking classes outside of your field. I think that that's very important. A philosophy class changed my life. And so I just recommend also that you take advantage of the entire university. For those of you who are considering coming to UCSB and thinking about, well, is this really the right place for me? I think you will find a warm and inviting atmosphere that will challenge you both personally and intellectually. It will give you just an unbelievably wonderful experience. And I honestly can't think of a better place for you to pursue your education.